I'm Lisa Ilola, and this is GeorgeJacobs, and we're from the University of Hawaii.
We're here at Radford High School in Honolulu to observe a class using cooperative learning. With cooperative learning, teachers organize students to work effectively in groups.
There are 5 key elements in cooperative learning. The first is positive interdependence. This means that students are dependent on each other. They either sink or swim together. The second is individual accountability, and this means that each student is accountable for his or her own work. The third is social skills. When students work in groups, they need to use social skills. The fourth is processing group interaction. After students have worked in groups, they need to reflect back on that interaction and think of ways that they can improve it and learn from the experience. And the final one is face-to-face interaction. In order to reap the benefits of cooperative learning, it's helpful for students to work in face-to-face interaction. This way they can question, debate, dialogue, and answer each other. This is Louisa Himfel and Yolanda Strong. They're both teachers of students of limited English proficiency at Radford High School. They teach students in grades 9 to 12. Both are bilingual. Louisa speaks Samoan and she's half Samoan. Yolanda speaks Ilocano. I asked Yolanda about herself, and she said, I love my students and I love teaching. Yolanda, would you tell us a little bit more about yourself? How long have you been teaching and what do you teach?
I teach English as a second language. I've been teaching for 10 years now, mostly here in Honolulu.
And what about you? What do you teach and how long have you been teaching?
Well, I've always taught social studies, and I taught for 5 years in American Samoa, and I've been teaching for the last 10 years here in Hawaii.
So you teach English and you teach social studies. How did you start working together?
Well, it kind of seemed like a natural progression because we did basically have the same target students, the limited English proficient kids, and it seemed kind of logical for us to work with the same kind of strategies to reinforce things that we did together or separately in our separate classrooms.
Yeah, basically we have the same program for students of limited English proficiency, so we deal with the same students.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been working together?
5 years.
5 years.
5 to 6 years.
5 to 6 years. Yeah.
So you've already discovered the benefits of cooperative learning just between yourselves.
Basically, we try to.
Okay, Yolanda, in the class we're going to see, where do these students come from and how long have they been in the U.S.?
These students come from 6 different countries, mostly from the Philippines. Others come from Panama, Taiwan, Thailand, American Samoa, as well. What others, Louisa?
Did we get, let's see, Panama?
Yes, we did. So about those countries. And basically they've been here about a year, but some have spent less than 6 months here in the United States.
Lisa, we're going to be observing your class. Could you tell us something about the class, what it's been doing recently?
Well, it's a social studies class. As I said, I teach social studies, and it's called American Problems. It's an elective course, and it basically deals with American law. And the unit we're getting ready to start right now is on crime and the judicial system in America. And I thought maybe as a good introductory lesson to introduce this unit, we would start off with having the kids write a composition about a crime maybe they have seen or heard about. All right, last week we discussed a little bit about it, and we're going to be going into a new unit starting today. And the first assignment that I'd like you to work on is to write a 4 to 5 paragraph composition about a crime that you have seen or about a crime that you've heard about. Okay? The first step in doing this assignment will be to do a rough draft. Then we'll be working in small groups, probably of about 3 students per group. And in your small groups, you will be helping one another edit or looking for ways to improve your rough draft. Okay? Then we'll be using a checklist to do this. After that, we'll be ready to write our final copy. Okay? So it's really important when you work with the 2 other people in your group that you must help one another, cooperate, and really try to help work on the rough draft. Okay, I really want to stress something right from the beginning, before we get started into this assignment, how important it is for you to work with one another and help one another. To show you how important it is, your grade for this assignment will come in the following way. 10% of your grade will come for team effort and cooperation. Okay? How well you work, how well you want to cooperate and help one another in your small groups. Okay? 30% of your grade will be coming from how good the other compositions are. How good are the other two people's compositions? Okay? And so how much percent does that leave us? 60. Okay? The other 60%, what do you think? How good your composition is, huh? Okay. That gives you your 100%. Is that clear? So it's really important to help everyone in the group.
And you also make part of their grade dependent on the quality of the other group members' compositions, as well as, I think, 10% for group effort. Why is that?
Well, you look at the 10%, I give them a grade for group effort. I kind of watch as they're working what they're doing, and I make notes of that and monitor that as they're working together. I want them to know that I feel it's important to learn how to work cooperatively, not only in a group situation for the classroom, but I feel that these will be skills that they'll take with them for the rest of their lives. You know, something that they will, they'll have when they go out into the work world.
Okay, so you've given students an assignment to write a composition. What are you going to do before that?
Well, I thought to give them a point to start at, instead of just telling them to write cold, was we developed together as a class a interview sheet where they could interview one another about the crime that they're going to write about. And then from that interview sheet, they have a starting point. They have information now from 2 other people in their groups, and they can start, they have a starting point to write their rough draft. Also, it gets the other 2 people in the group involved in the composition also.
So the people that interview are the editors as well?
Yeah.
I see.
Later on, that's what will happen. They'll stay with the same group throughout the whole task, or the whole project. Right.
And this gives them an opportunity to also practice their conversation skills.
Oh, right. We had we will practice. I chose one social skill, that of speaking and understanding one another, and clarification, things like that, that they'll practice throughout this project also. Now, we kind of need to get some ideas on how to do our comps. That's a place I think we need to start. And we know it's going to be about crime. But the way I'm going to have you do it in your small groups is I'm going to have you interview the other 2 people in your group. Now, what we need to do, though, is come up with a list of interview questions that you need to ask. So Betty will kind of act as secretary for class, and let's kind of throw up our ideas on the blackboard to come up with questions you would like to ask the other people about their crime. How do they feel about it? Just write everything they say, Betty. Go ahead, you're doing a good job. What'd you ask?
Are you single?
What?
Are you single?
Are you what?
Are you single?
Are you single?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear that, Betty? Bertha would like to know if the person is single. But
So the social skill you're going to teach is asking for clarification or repetition when people don't understand what one of the people in their group has said. And why teach that skill?
well, for example, like if they're interviewing, or even later on, because they're going to be using, discussion, and we're going to use these skills throughout writing this comp. If someone talks too fast or mumbles or is kind of talking very quietly, because I do have a few kids that are real shy. I thought that if we tried to bring out and really focus on one social skill, bring it out in the open, that this skill would help them, better understand one another and stay on task. And then, of course, they would be able to help one another. Otherwise, if you can't understand one another, you can't very well help one another. Berto, you want to try practice and ask me one of these questions? Say, for example, I'm in your group, and you have to ask me. Okay. Berto.
What's your name?
I don't know. My name is Mrs. Hemphill. Huh? You can't hear?
Yeah.
Okay. Have to speak louder. Okay, that's another thing we need to work on. Before we get into our small groups, probably on Thursday, okay, because we don't have class tomorrow, is we need to also practice a little bit on how we are going to interview the other two people, how we're going to be speaking, okay? So did Berto ask the question loud enough?
No.
I heard him. Huh? But how was my answer? My answer was very soft, okay? So both people in the interview, not only the person asking the questions, but the person answering, okay? It's important that we need to speak loud enough, okay? Lynn, why don't you ask me another one of these questions?
Have they been arrested before?
Well, I don't really know if the people were arrested before, but you know, they were probably involved in the crime a lot of times, so what else do we have to do? Fast. Okay. Over speeding. Speeding over the speed limit. Okay, let's practice this a little bit. This row will be all A's. You folks will be B's.
What is my name? I'm a girl of Ireland. I live in the Pacific Ocean. I am the 50th state in the United States.
Can you speak a little bit slow, please?
Okay. What is my name? I am a group of islands. I live in the Pacific Ocean. I am the 50th state in the United States.
Hawaii?
Yes, it is.
What is my name? I live in the mountain house. I usually you can watch cartoons on the
Can you speak slowly and louder, please?
What is my name? I live in your house. I use electricity. You can watch cartoons on
Is it washing machine or something? Huh? What? Say it again, please.
What is my name? I live in your house. I use electricity. You can watch cartoons on
Is it television? Okay.
On the first one, where you had to speak very, very quietly, what were some of the things that you found saying to the other person when they spoke very quietly to you? Okay. Can you speak louder so I can hear you? Or some people said understand you. Okay. We need to keep these things in mind now, because we will be using, the questions we did in the beginning of class. Everyone will get a chance to ask the other people in your group those questions about their crime. And when we do that, you also got to keep in mind that if someone speaks too quietly, we have people in here that do that. You're going to need to learn how to speak up, but also the person asking the question needs to ask for this. Okay, what step are we ready for now? The interview. We have to do our interview to gather our information first. And from the information that we gather in our interview, then you will be able to write your rough draft. Okay? And we may need to review some main points about writing a composition, but we'll do that another day. Okay? Is it pretty clear then? Okay, we're not just making the movie, we're really doing this as an assignment you can get graded on,
Yolanda, you use cooperative learning in your English classes as well. How do you decide what students to put in what group?
We mix the students up according to how much English they speak, their gender, and their language. As much as possible, we try to get better students with the slower students to bring less proficient students with the more proficient ones, and to carry the other students to a higher level. And they also find that it's very useful to explain the lesson to the slower students. Reinforces what they know already. We mix them up with different. We have to have different languages in the group.
Well, to force them to speak English. Yeah.
Force them to speak English,
right? We stack it already. So they have no choice. They've got to speak English to one another. They've got to practice their English skills.
So you form groups on the basis of gender, Language ability.
and language.
Language, yes.
What kind of crime was it?
Murder.
Murder? What time did it happen?
7 o'clock in the evening.
7.
Where did it happen?
At the Manaloa Terrace.
How many people were involved in the crime?
2 persons. Husband and wife.
How many people were injured?
2.
How did it start?
When the husband saw the wife with someone in the bed.
He saw his wife with someone.
Yeah.
What did you do when you saw or heard about the crime?
Nothing. I just laughed because
You laugh?
yeah.
Why?
Because I think sleeping with someone you don't know, and you have a husband, then you're gonna sleep with another man. I think that's so disgusting.
Still able.
About number 8, I didn't understand that one.
Number 8.
I mean to say, how can you briefly describe the events of the crime? Describe the events from it happened to...
Missing Phil. Missing Phil.
Oh, I don't know what crime was.
Missing Phil. I don't understand number 8.
Okay. Now, basically tell about the crime.
Yeah,
Number
no
8.
crime.
Tell all about it.
Oh,
You got all the small stuff here now. Tell the whole
Oh,
story
okay,
now.
okay, that's easy.
Just tell the whole story. Like, I get by saying, James, so what happened? You say, you know what, Mrs. Sinfield, okay? And, Adelina, listen closely now. Try to get it all written down for him. Okay? Because then these 2 papers will come to you. And you will take that home, and then you're going to write your rough draft from that.
Oh, that's easy.
Now you have a lot of ideas, right?
Yolanda, what do you and Luisa usually do when the students are working in the groups?
Usually we walk around to make sure that they are on task, and to listen in if they're having problems with the instructions, directions, and if there are ways that I could explain it a little bit better, because they're not understanding it maybe, and I don't want them to go off tangent and go off in the wrong way.
Yeah, many times I find that I'll give instructions, and are there any questions? I'll have them repeat back what we're going to be doing, and I'll still find I need to go out and make sure as I watch that they are on task and they have gotten the directions for the task. And then also it frees us for, like, if students are having problems.
Yeah.
The kids can work independently, cooperatively together, and it frees us to have a chance to go and work with students who may have some individual problems.
So, Yolanda, when you walk around to the groups, what things do you listen for?
2 things. One, most importantly, is are they on task? Is there something that I should go over with the whole group? And secondly, are they using the social skills that I've picked up for them to work on?
So you've assigned the students to write a composition, and then you had them interview each other. Then what did you do?
Well, from the interview sheets, that person received the ones that the other 2 did on that person, and from there they were assigned to write a rough draft. Go ahead, start writing, their composition. And I gave them directions on what I expected on their comp and the structure and everything. And from there, we made 2 photocopies of each comp, gave those out to the group members, And then I have a checklist that I had them use to go ahead now and start editing the rough draft of the people in their groups.
What is the purpose of the checklist?
The checklist gives the students structure. They have to know what they're looking for, and it focuses in on some of the problem areas that they have to work with. Mechanical, grammar, mechanical spelling, ideas, clarification of ideas. Ways that could help the students improve their writing.
We will also try to include on the checklist positive, what did you like best? Why did you like, to really encourage the writer also. We're looking for suggestions, as Yolanda is saying, but we're also looking for the positive points, the good parts of the comp.
So that's kind of like a part of the social skills as well.
Exactly.
This is the introduction. This is about the criminal. Then the family problem. And then back to the criminal. Okay, listen. The crime he committed was vandalism, which he did commit a mess in other people's property for no reason. The store's owner had to rebuild and clean up the mess he has done. So drinking is one of the problems. It says drinking over here the problem. This is only a problem. But then down here, most people committed crimes are alcoholics, and he is one of them. This one over here goes with this one. That's why we wrote it. Family problem is another. See, this one over here and this one, so this paragraph, it related.
Yeah, this paragraph goes up here and this one goes down. Is that what you mean?
No, this is one paragraph. And half of this paragraph involves with this one, relates to this subject over here.
So what you gotta do with the half? So company student?
How you say this in English? Something like, what? Kasi lang kami nag-Jacobs ka makakit. Ano yun? Hanap to ko makakita tigas.
I cannot see anything.
Kasi nga, I wish. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. Me and my girlfriend went to 7-Eleven to buy something for breakfast.
Buy eggs.
Is egg and sandwich. When we was at the counter, we saw two men behind the counter. The cashier. Cashier or counter, I think. Maybe you're right. Counter is like not by the cash register.
Yeah.
Okay, by the cashier, right? There were two people involved about this robbery. They were both men and both of them were wearing a mask.
How you know that?
Are they? Huh?
Men,
What you mean? Because you saw them.
how? Nakamas takip.
You can't tell if it's a man or woman. After that,
Tomboy.
Couldn't even say if there's men and women.
okay, people. Okay, two people then. They were
Both men. Yeah, that's.
after that, these two men were threatening. I don't know if this is right. I don't think so.
Where? Breakfast.
No, threatening.
Yeah. THREA.
Okay. Try not to write all in capital letters.
Why?
So we know which one is sentence. I mean, which one is capital or not. It's all, this one is already an F. You know why? It's all capital letters.
So?
What you mean so?
So what?
So yeah.
This is the introduction, yeah?
No, the sentence suggestion. That's his paper. Okay, read all the comments and then tell us which one you don't understand.
You mentioned that you help students reflect back on their cooperative learning experience. How do you do this?
Well, a regular activity I do at the end of any type of activity that we have is I have them discuss in small groups first the good things. What were the positive? What did they do well together? Okay. And then I also have them work on the other hand on what can we improve upon? What can we do better next time to make it even better? And then after that, usually I'll have one person from each group report back to the class as a whole. And we look at all this together. And other groups can see what happened and learn from one another now as a whole class now.
So you use actual class time to reflect back on the cooperative learning experience and how the groups worked.
Yeah. She liked the interview part. She liked the gathering of the data or gathering the information by interviewing other students in her group. What else? What did you like doing? That's it. Asking questions, okay. Okay. Jeanette says, I like working with 2 other people than just sitting there doing it by myself. So she says, groups, okay. And Richard says, teamwork. Things that we could do better maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Huh? Flynn? Okay.
Yeah, do your composition.
Okay, be more serious. Okay. You found that everybody needs to cooperate, right? Yes. Remember to try to do the good things that we did. The teamwork was very important, and everyone's got to pitch in. Okay, Richard?
Don't fight in school if you cannot win. And get suspended for nothing.
We'll have to put Richard, okay, stay in school, Richard said.
So do you guys have any general tips for teachers who are just getting started with cooperative learning or having problems using cooperative learning?
Let me, I'm starting cooperative learning in my math class. And one of the things that I had to get used to is chaos. In the beginning, there is absolute chaos, but they're positive chaos.
Organized.
Organized
I call
chaos.
it organized chaos.
Yeah, and that the students themselves have to get used to working as a group and supporting each other in a group situation, and learn social skills. Positive reinforcement, basic social skills. But the most important thing in the beginning, I would say, is getting used to chaos.
To me, I think it's just not only for ESL programs or anything like that, but to me, cooperative learning is just good teaching. Cooperating, learning together, the idea of what we looked at the poster, 3 different ideas coming together, and I just have found that.
Well, that's what the world is about, really. And why not practice in the classroom? What is reality? Reality is cooperating with everybody else.
So do you prefer to work in groups or by yourself? How do you feel about that?
Oh, I prefer to be with with groups because they can tell me what's wrong with my paragraph, or they can correct my mistake.
Let's say you made a mistake. Does that make you feel bad that you made mistakes?
Oh no, it didn't feel me so bad because that's my mistake, and I want them to correct me because I made sometimes mistake. That's why, and I like them to correct me because I always make mistake.
How many years have you been working in groups?
In groups?
Yeah.
I think last year I made this group. We made this kind of group also, but I didn't learn some more. But now I learned some more from Mrs. Hemphill, because she do make it right to us, and then she helped us how to do it. But last year they didn't help us how to do it. Just leave us alone, and and we'll do the group with our own words like that, and then the teacher doesn't care if it's our group make it good or right as well. But now Mrs. Hemphill taught us how to make it good, make it better. And
what things has Mrs. Hemphill taught you about how to work, about how to have groups?
How to work with groups. She taught us by giving some, like the group, every one of us must give our own ideas on how the problem will be solved. And she teach us how to
make it better. Like the other guy has her own job and me has my own job, and she made us separated. Like she gonna do the writings, I gonna do the readings, and she gonna do the explanation like that. So and then after that we're gonna our own ideas must unite.
How do you feel about having part of your grade depend on the other people's composition?
Oh yes, because if you do your part good, then you will get your grade same thing as another people. If you don't do your part, then you lower another people's grade down. So it's no fair if you don't do your stuff, then you do yours. So everybody should help one another to do their stuff, so everybody can get good grade. That's why. That's how. If you tell what you're supposed to do, then you will get everything done and you will do it right.
But what if somebody doesn't do their work and then your grade goes down?
Oh, so then I have to talk to Miss Cynthia about it. Say, oh, can you talk to this person that why they don't do his job? Then why you assign him to in our group? Then we doing what we're supposed to do and they don't do what they're supposed to do. That's why. So we can talk it out. Why he don't do his job, then we do our job.
And you also talk to that person besides?
Oh yeah, See, I would talk to that person first, and if that person don't listen, then I can talk to Miss Cynthia about it. If your friend don't do his job, then you will get your bad grade. So you try to help him do better job, then you can get better grade. That's why. And you try to teaching him, or he teaching you, or this way you're supposed to do, and this way you're not supposed to do.
A problem in your group?
Oh yes, it's him. Because he didn't do his work.
Yeah. And so, how did you deal with the problem?
We tried to talk him about the grades. Because if you get an F, we all have an F on it, because it's all in one work, and when in a group. So we tried to convince him by
forcing him.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I will pray please.
And Jesse, how did you feel when they talked to you about your paper?
Nothing.
Come on, stop being so silly.
So at first you didn't write one, but then later you did.
Yeah. Because,
No, we started first the work. We tried to give him some ideas about the task.
We convinced him to write his rough draft, and then he said that when we forced him, and then he said, oh, I'm gonna do now because our grade must be lowered. So he tried to do it, and then he made it.
He finally decided that he's gonna do his work.
Yeah, because we forced him. That's why.
So, did you guys write the composition for him, or did he write it all?
No, we just started. We just haven't. First we started on it, and then he just get an idea about it.
Yeah, and then.
Because on the first place, he don't know what he was doing.
He tried to correct our papers, and then he tried also to correct our spelling so that we know also our mistakes. So he tried his best.
His best.
Yeah, he tried his best to correct our papers, even though he don't know really.
Some of it.
The next time that you're in a group, do you want to be with Jesse again?
Yeah, we just gonna try.
Yeah.
Why?
I think he's learning more from us. I think.
Yeah.
Because some people don't cooperate with him.
Yeah.
Most especially when he was in the other group, like those guys.
Yeah.
And when you help Jesse, does that help you learn?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we learn how to correct others' mistake, or others don't make it better. So.
And we didn't know that we can help him.
Yeah.
I've tried it in another guidance class, which is a class composed of Americans, Caucasians.
Mm-hmm.
It worked beautifully. Mainly because...
So maybe culturally wrong, I don't know.
No, I think so, no.
But I'm just saying
it worked beautifully because they had a chance to discuss it among themselves, and they were not afraid to go up front as a group. You know, they were not, what's that called? Picked on. They were not
Singled out.
Singled out. They had a group to support
them,
to support their, you know, ideas, and it was a consensus too. They have to come up with a consensus within the group before coming up to the front. So by the time they get in the front, it's resolved.
Yeah, because in this case we had compositions that will be turned in, but a lot of times we'll do things where there is a reporting type. You will report back to the whole class, and someone from the group must represent their group. But so since they have that support and they feel good about their answer, that they're going to present to the group, but it's not just theirs.
It was the group's.
It was the group.
So if they made a mistake, the whole group was responsible.
So don't give up on cooperative. You know, don't give up on it. You know, it's good teaching.
It needs a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
You got scissors,
The
supplies,
preparation, yeah.
and
I think the preparation, you have to invest in preparation, but as far as class running and going, you'll find nothing that works. I don't know. I've been really, really happy with it.
So you would say be prepared, be prepared to
be patient
and to anticipate chaos, organized chaos.
Organized chaos.
Organized chaos.
Be persistent.
Yeah.
Persistent. Don't give up after the first one, because the first time the students will not expect to work in a group, will not expect to support each other.
I think what's good for us too, we have a small, but we have a support system with one another too.
Yeah.
So find a colleague that you can work with. And
that helps too, I think.
It does.
If you find someone that you can talk over. Oh, I tried this, but it just didn't work. Coaching.
Yeah,
I think that's what
they
call it.
call it coaching, but that's a luxury. You know, you can't
but
have
if you
that.
find one person where you can, you know, bounce off of, you know.
So we're not here because we want to be, like I said,
it's just a natural.
It is natural for us to work together because of the students we deal with. And it's kind of nice having you around.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have the supports, our own supports.
And one final question, Louisa. When is your baby due?
I think June or July.
Okay. Good luck with that.
Okay. To summarize, let's look again at the 5 key elements of cooperative learning and see how they were implemented in the class that we just saw. The first principle was positive interdependence. This was structured in several ways. 1, students interviewed each other, and then the interviewer's notes were used to write the compositions. 2, each student had their name listed as editor of the other compositions in their group. 3rd, part of each student's grade was based on the scores of the compositions written by the other people in their group. The second principle was individual accountability. This was aimed for by making each student responsible for writing their own first draft and for revising the draft by themselves after receiving their peers' suggestions. Also, 10% of their grade was for cooperative effort. So if they weren't trying to help the other people in their group, their grade went down. The third cooperative principle was social skills. The social skill which students practiced in the lesson was asking when they didn't understand. Louisa explained this, demonstrated it, and had students practice the skill. The fourth principle was processing group interaction. To do this, students discussed in their groups and as a class what went well in their group and how they could do better next time. And the fifth element was face-to-face interaction. Students were face-to-face during the interviews, they were face-to-face again when they were editing, and they were face-to-face again when they were processing the interaction in their group.
There are other important elements in cooperative learning, and of course cooperative learning can be used in ways other than we have seen in this class. Cooperative learning can be used in any subject area, and it can be used with students from elementary to the university levels. There are many books that you can read to get a fuller understanding of cooperative learning. Many of the ideas that Louisa used in this lesson came from the book Circles of Learning. Another book that we'd particularly like to recommend is Cooperative Learning, Resources for Teachers.